let's get rolling.
Okay, all you.
Cool. Thank you. Well, thank you all for making the time for this today. I'm delighted to be here with you and talk about all things AI stuff and human stuff today. I mentioned this a moment ago, but I'm an executive coach and leadership consultant, and I partner with driven women who are being crushed by the hustle. At one point, it might have served them. I know at one point it really served me, but maybe not so much anymore, depending on the phase of life that you're in. And now you're being told to figure out one more thing, which is AI. And who has time to learn how to do that when you're in back-to-back meetings all day? So you might be feeling drained, you're feeling disappointed, you're feeling dysregulated, and you're done feeling that way. And I know I mentioned I work with women. This is not a challenge unique to women. Okay. So David, I don't want you to feel excluded from this conversation. This is
Okay.
affecting
No,
every
all
single person.
good. No,
Yeah.
I understand. But thank
Uh,
you.
yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So when I work with my clients, it's to really raise awareness of where you have choice and influence and can be at the cause of your life, not the effects. You can move forward in a way that really serves you. So I'm curious. I like to do one word check-ins, which you can, this is a cozy group, so you can, come off of mute and share or just pop it in the chat. I have the chat pulled up, but I love to start with a one word check-in just to gauge where everyone is on this topic. So when you think of AI, how does that make you feel?
I feel excited.
Excited?
Yeah,
Uh,
because if you're not learning how to implement it, you're gonna get left behind. That's a fact. And from a business perspective, I own three companies. So from a business perspective, I put in the chat, is anybody using Obsidian? My brother-in-law was telling me about it, and it's learning how to. Are you familiar with Obsidian, Mary?
I'm not. I'm not.
It's a way to, so what my brother-in-law explained to me, he's super into tech. It's a way that you can create like your own brain within AI.
Ooh,
So
cool.
it's linked. So I'm learning how to use it, how to link it with Claude because I use Claude
Yeah,
and it's getting all this stuff integrated. It's pretty cool. He goes, you can literally create your own Wikipedia
cool.
for you.
Great.
So no, I think it's the future and I think it's here and I think it's now. And I think if you're not learning how to integrate it, you're gonna get left behind. I think it's just reality.
Yeah. Yeah. So you're excited. Sounds like you're already
Oh, I've got
using.
my. Oh yeah, I love Claude. I literally talk to. So I have Claude synced, my Slack synced,
Yeah.
and my Google Calendar synced with my virtual assistant in the Philippines. So no, I'm on the team subscription. No, I've dove a lot into this.
Cool. That's great. That's great. Awesome. Well, thank you, David. Someone else. What one word check-in? How does AI make you feel?
I would say empowered.
Empowered. All right. That's great. Thanks, Rachel.
I'd say efficient.
Efficient. Yeah. I love this alliteration too. Excited, empowered, efficient. Great. Anyone else?
Yeah, I'll change the alliteration. Sorry. Creative. My boyfriend and I created a new podcast intro for my podcast that I have, which is called The Empowered Educator. And it's amazing. If it's my mission statement and my focus for my company, and it's really awesome. He's musical, so he knows how to manipulate everything, and we're really excited. So creative and excited.
Awesome. Awesome. That's great. Yeah, podcasting has changed so dramatically with the help of AI. Great.
And for the few
Yes.
people that just joined, I know Susan's here and
Yeah.
Arinola's here and Alicia just joined. We're giving one word check-ins about what you feel about AI.
I would say amazed.
Mm,
I continue to be amazed every time I try something new or do it. And I'm a huge Claude fan too.
awesome. Yeah.
Good
Here.
morning. Good morning, everyone. I have one. As a small business owner, AI really has helped me manage my time better, given that I only work with a small amount of people and we have to get a lot done. So it has really assisted in helping us to push work forward and manage customer service and client responses and all that stuff.
Hmm. That's great.
Yeah.
going to be hesitant
Sure. Yeah.
because I'm a little bit skeptical. I still have some skepticism, because I like to have control, but so I just feel like there is something about giving control up, and so I'm a little bit more hesitant, for that. So that's why I said
Yeah.
I'll be kind of like the dowdy person on the other side.
That's okay. That's okay. And I mean, I feel that too. I feel many different feelings about AI, so that tracks, Marianne. Thanks. Alicia, did I see you were going to jump in?
I'm going to try to. I think I'm on the opposite side. My word is transformative. My entire career has taken off in a different way than I ever would have expected. I launched from corporate to entrepreneur. I now run an AI consulting business myself. I use it every day, different apps. I'm starting to code my own things. So I have taken it and just run. My difference maker was when I found out it could move with me. As soon as I put it on my phone, I'm like, oh, it could be 3 in the morning. I'm up with a kid. I can still take some notes. I could be driving between client sites. Got it. I can get that email drafted and it goes right on my to-do list. So I'm big on continuous learning, and AI is just exploding. So I'm on the transformative side of AI.
Yeah, that's great. And I think it's wonderful to hear the different reactions and experiences with it, because I think that's just the reality of where we are. I talk to people who are like you, Alicia, they're already coding, they're creating agents, they are like light years ahead from even where I am, because I'll say this maybe a few times during this. I would never consider myself an AI expert. I know I'm here talking to you about AI. It is changing so fast. I consider myself a tinkerer, which is fun to say. There's even a group I know, I don't know if it's part of Tech STL, that's called AI Tinkerers. And so that's how I think about myself, is just constantly experimenting, lots of failures, lots of learning, but it is, there's also a dissonance I feel of just, okay, how is this affecting our climate? All the bias that's inherent in it. So I'm holding all of those things at the same time. So maybe some days you feel excited, maybe some days you don't. It's all okay. It's all okay. It's all valid. And so as you think about this, and just the navigation of learning AI, there's a great beginner's mindset affirmation that comes from two of my favorite feelings people, Liz Fosslien and Molly West Duffy. They've authored a few books on emotions at work. Liz Fosslien herself has fantastic infographics. You'll often see me reposting her on LinkedIn. But this starts with I'm a person learning too. So anytime you're new, and I used to tell this to people during onboarding, I'm a person learning to use AI for my job, understand AI enough to make some meaningful changes at work or at home or both. Maybe you're a person learning to use AI to empower your team. I know for me, how I finish that sentence is that I'm using AI so I can work smarter, both professionally in my business and at home. So if you ever get stuck, that can be a great beginner's mindset affirmation. So, what we want to do here is make AI feel more approachable. And I feel really called to doing this because women have historically been excluded from tech, and I don't want that narrative to persist. So, David, I'm kind of with you. Like, if you're not using AI, you might be falling behind. And so, I want to do what I can in my work, which is serving and empowering women to make AI more approachable. And what I want to avoid is overwhelming you. All you have to do is pull up LinkedIn, and there's your feed is full of how to use Claude Code, or wait, Claude came out with a new thing. And I know I get overwhelmed. So I'm going to try to make this as chill and people centered as I possibly can. Some of you may already be ahead of what I'm about to share during this, which is totally fine. Maybe that's just some validation of where you are. But as reminders, you want to make sure you know before you go. We'll address what you need to know before you start using tools. So, does your organization or your business have an AI policy? And if they do, are you aware of it and its limitations and its opportunities? Are you familiar with some of the AI vocabulary? We also want to lean in to our human skills. We'll identify which human skills will best enable AI adoption, both for yourself, for your team, for your peers. And I use that word tinkering. We're going to look at a couple use cases. And I found that with my AI learning, seeing Like actually seeing people use a tool and manipulate things, create things on the fly, that actually cements my understanding more than listening to someone. So I want to give us the opportunity to do that today with some show and tell. And finally, there's so many different ways to learn. Again, I found that sharing is caring. When it comes to AI, learning is just more fun with other people. And sitting side by side, sharing screens, seeing how other people are setting up their Claude projects, if that's the tool you're using, or how are you connecting Slack to Notion to Claude or using Zapier in the background? How are you using all these different tools to talk to each other? So seeing how people are doing that and talking about what you're doing with other people and asking them questions is a really great way to further your learning. So let's get into our first area here, which is know before you go. So what are the things you need to know so that you are venturing into the AI wilderness using AI responsibly? And think of this as a little bit of an audit, a self-assessment, questions you can ask yourself. So if you're within an organization, you're leading an organization, this question tracks. How open is your organization to innovation and experimentation? Could be a value, right? Could be a core value on a wall, maybe something that is talked about, but is it actually experienced in your organization? Do you have a culture of ask for forgiveness, not permission? What are the risks if you are using AI tools, both for your organization, yourself, your clients, your customers? How well do you understand the difference between a free and a paid account? So I'm going to try to get really kind of simple here with this. Free accounts train the LLM, the large language model, which is just, if you think about the large language model, think of it about it's a big box and it has all of this data in it, files and content. Okay. If you're using a free account, and this is also changing and faster than I can even keep up with it, but I've always been instructed that a free account, you're giving all your data into it. So anybody else who's using that tool can also pull from that. Paid accounts are safer, not totally safe, but they're safer. And if you are an organization, let's say that has adopted Copilot, I know a lot of larger organizations are doing that because they already have Microsoft as their suite of tools. They're likely already paying for an enterprise level license or some tier that allows those protections. I know that was true at the organization where I used to work. If you don't know if you're using a free account or a paid account or whichever one your organization has permitted you to use, just ask. Ask the people who know the answer to that. But overall, use common sense with what you'd put into it. What problems or challenges are you facing where AI could support? I can imagine you have all sorts of use cases, but you may not know exactly where to start. If you start to look through what are you doing on a day-to-day basis? What are the tasks that are draining you? Those are some good indicators for where you can use AI for support. You could also ask AI, like, this is my role. These are the kinds of responsibilities that I have. Can you give me some uses? Like, how do I use you? And it can give you some direction there. Do you have a sense of how your team, your peers, your clients, your org is using AI today, according to the policy or not? So I know there's a lot of people who early adopters within different departments. Maybe their organization didn't have a policy yet, but they've started to go. And now they're trying to figure out, with all of the advancements that their department has made, how does that fit with the policy of the organization? And if you have an AI policy, what is it? Get familiar with it. Are you using a tool that's set up with your personal email versus your work email? These are things to take into account. So these are just some of the questions to consider as you think about what risks might be involved as you start to experiment. So I thought we would do a little bit of a true and false exercise here. And maybe this is where we can get into some debate as well. So you can use the reactions. I think I can see most of the videos on here, or you can just pop this in the chat. If I say AI is a people pleaser, do you think that is true or is that false? True or false? AI is a people pleaser. I see some hearts, some trues. Yeah. Yes. So that's a way I've made this make sense for me. I first heard of this as AI hallucinations. So if you've heard of AI hallucinations, it's kind of what we're getting at here. AI is a people pleaser. It makes stuff up sometimes. It exists to serve you, so it wants you to be happy. It can also be outdated and sometimes inaccurate. So it might actually make up answers. It might make up sources. There's a cautionary tale about a Manhattan lawyer, I think this was a few years ago, who submitted a federal court filing citing at least 6 cases that didn't even exist. And it can even create fake websites. So, Marianne, as you're thinking about the hesitancy and the skepticism, I see you nodding your head. This is where we have to be really, really careful, and that's why be using your own judgment and your common sense and not overly relying on the tool is very helpful and where those human skills can come into play. There's also other tools like Perplexity, if you've heard of it, that right out of the gate set itself apart from ChatGPT, Claude, Gemini, Copilot because it automatically provides sources. Even then, and this was when I was on an HR team, so I was using Perplexity a lot, I would still click those sources, make sure it was a legitimate website because I didn't want to get caught with sourcing data for a organization presentation that wasn't actually legit. All right, so AI, oh, I just skipped
I
that
was
one.
gonna
AI
say,
is a,
I was just gonna say, if you mind, I would definitely totally agree with you. That's why I have a lot of hesitancy, is the fact that I've heard of instances where some of the data that was used to support certain things just don't support what actual reality is.
right.
And that is a part of my hesitancy about using it. And it just makes me concerned that we may be going down a path that, you can't take, you have truth, reality versus so it's like reality versus, the fiction stuff. So,
Mhm.
that's what my biggest concern is.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
I would weigh in, it's how you prompt it. You can also prompt it. I want these type of published survey sources from this type of recognized source. And now even ChatGPT and Gemini have deep research mode. And in their deep research modes, it'll also pull every website that it pulled from, like Perplexity did. So I feel like those other tools are now building this in as well.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you. Thank you. Yes. That's so great. So let's talk about another one. AI is a search engine. Is that true or false?
I would say true, right?
This is where we might have some debate. I've said that it's false. I think you can use it, but it depends on what your use case is. It is not trained on the most up-to-date information. And again, there can be some inaccuracies. So if you're using it as a search engine, take care with how you're using it. And you may just want to actually go to Google, skip the AI generated part, or go straight to the sources. So just know it's not trained on the most up-to-date information. I remember in the early days, you would ask it, who's the president? It has no idea who the president is. So you have to be really, really careful with that. It's not a search engine. All right, our third one here and final one, AI contains bias. True. Yep. It's built by humans. Uh, and humans are inherently biased, right? So again, this is why we need to use our common sense and our own good judgment. There's a really great documentary, I think it might be on Netflix, correct me if I'm wrong, called Coded Bias. And it features MIT Media Lab researcher Dr. Joy Buolamwini and her discovery of racial bias in facial recognition algorithms. So racial bias, gender bias, insert bias, like any type of bias. We need to be really careful with that as well. This is not to alarm you, this is to arm you. So let's talk about human skills and how that factors into using AI and navigating AI adoption. So when I'm talking about human skills here, I am not talking about the skills AI won't replace. That's a related but a different conversation. So when you hear people say like AI won't replace emotional intelligence, empathy, critical thinking, yes, agree with that, right? It's going to automate other things. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about what are the skills we can lean on as we are adopting AI and as our teams are adopting AI. So those are the things that we want to summon and develop on our teams. You might actually hear about this talked about as soft skills. I call it human skills. I know Simon Sinek does too. It's not an original term. I just get really annoyed with soft skills. It's actually formerly a military term. Soft and hard skills were coined back in 1951 by the US Army. There was a psychologist that was brought in, and hard was meant to do with anything operating military equipment like aluminum and steel, and soft skills were everything else, every other skill. So we're talking about human skills here because I think we all know there's nothing really soft about soft skills. Those are the things we spend so much time talking about in our relationships, our workplaces, our families. So I'll get off my soapbox on that. Let's look at these 6 human skills through my research I've seen that really propel AI adoption. First and foremost, growth mindset. This could be our overall overarching theme and skill. So instead of thinking of AI as a threat, which keeps us more in this limiting, fear-based state, going to making AI your ally, having a most generous interpretation of what AI can do for you, your team, your clients, and your organization. A second skill, curiosity. Okay. So when you're overwhelmed by the options, I know I feel this phenomenon. This is like when you're at the grocery store and you're in the pasta aisle and there's 27 different types of pasta sauce. I feel like that with AI tools right now. So going from feeling that overwhelmed to just one at a time, exploring what's possible. Maybe it's within one tool. You're just like, I'm going to focus on Claude. I'm going to focus on Copilot. That's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. There's no one right way to do this right now, and maybe ever. Judgment. This goes from naively navigating. This is a lot of that know before you go and understanding that. Um, Using your common sense to have more discerning discovery, acknowledging the risks, the safety, data protections while you are experimenting. It's not to prevent you from experimentation. These things are not mutually exclusive. Perseverance. This is one of my favorite ones and one that I need to lean on a lot. We are expected and conditioned we are conditioned to expect immediate gratification, not just with AI. This is across like our entire lives. And so patiently iterating really helps. That first draft that you might have, or if you can think back to when you first started using tools, it probably wasn't so great, the output, right? Because you didn't know how to prompt, you really weren't sure how to use the tool. Keep working, keep persevering through it. Patience is an expected part of the process, and the efficiency that AI promises and that organizations are making big bets on is not always immediately realized. Discipline. This is going from burning out from going too hard. So maybe you start experimenting with AI and you're over here using Claude, and then you're like, wait, cowork, I want to learn that. And then what's vibe coding? And hold on, I need to create an agent. Okay. You might, there's so many videos and how-tos and certifications. I mean, I'm overwhelming myself just listing all of this out. So you may be pulled in lots of directions because some of those things you shared earlier, empowering, exciting, right? Like enthusiastic, like let's go, can also lead to burnout. So as you're experiencing, lean on that discipline, experiment judiciously or experiment at the pace that works for you and isn't going to burn you out. Because remember, right now, this is kind of in addition to everything else that's on our plate. We want to realize a future where there's more efficiencies. And I hope many of you, I bet many of you are already experiencing that as the more you're playing around with the tools. And the most ubiquitous skill, the one I feel like I hear referenced most often, is adaptability or agility. So, I'm a Colby certified consultant. I don't know how many of you are familiar with the Colby A index assessment. One of the Colby strengths is called stabilize. So if you find yourself with that strength, what that typically looks like is you're choosing more comfort, stability. Let's stick with what's working, how we've been doing things, maybe even choosing status quo. That might make adopting and experimenting with AI harder, right? And that's just the reality of things. And you are absolutely capable of change. So just because you might be wired that way doesn't mean that you can't start experimenting as you get more information. So, and AI really is a change management opportunity here. So those are the skills. I'm curious, and I'll go back to this slide in just a second. As you think about these skills, my question for you is which ones can you lean on? Which one, as you look at this list, can you lean on to propel your AI adoption? Or which one are you leaning on today?
Hmm. I'm going to say discipline.
Discipline. Yeah.
Well, yeah, it's like just get really hyper focused on how I'm using it and what ways I'm using it. Because yeah, I can easily go down that rabbit hole. I can have a Gemini account. Well, I have that because I got Google Workspace. If you all have Google Workspace, you automatically have a Gemini account.
Yep.
To ChatGPT to OpenAI, and ChatGPT just launched a business edition not too long ago. So yeah, it's easy to go down all these rabbit holes instead of let me play with this. At some level, I'm going to have two because I'm assuming that I'm just making the assumption for my automotive background here with my businesses. We have a couple programs. They do the same thing just differently, and AI is going to be the same thing. So it's like navigating which two play because I can pay to play. So which two can I pay to play with, and learning what one's good at, what the other one's good at, and how to leverage them to best suit my what I need them to do.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. And you're using Claude, right? Mostly? Yeah.
Very deep in the cloud.
Yeah. Same.
I would say judgment as well as curiosity. So I am trying to be knowledgeable or at least aware of different things out there, but judgment is huge. My level of discernment has like skyrocketed through using it because I'm constantly discerning what is best, what is most efficient. When I'm working with clients, I try to remain very tool agnostic and just say, what do you want to do? And let's find the tool. Because like David said, there's going to be an AI for everything, and everybody's just going to find the interface that they're most comfortable with, depending on what they're working on.
Yeah. Yeah. Definitely. I love that. Start with the need and then find the tool that supports that need. Absolutely. Which also goes, oh, someone else.
Alicia, too, I would probably say, I am curious, but I do have a lot of, judgment basically. So, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. That's fair. That's fair. Right. And Rachel, you said adaptability. Yeah. So even going between these tools, so maybe you go really deep on Claude and maybe Claude can't solve a need that you have. So you use a different tool. And again, within these tools themselves, there's so many innovations that are really hard to keep up with. So adaptability, very helpful. As you look at this list, so we talked about what skill are you leaning on right now that's helping you propel. Which skill do you find the most challenging?
I would probably say judgment. I think I'm using all of them, but really understanding like you are overwhelming me with all these different tools. And I'm like, how do I integrate it? And am I doing it right? And like, would it make more sense just to hire someone who is the expert to implement these things? Because I am definitely not an expert, but I know I don't want to be left behind. So
Yeah.
for me, I think it's the judgment.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely.
I'm judgment as well, but also there's so many out there and they do different things. And I don't have a great understanding of what fits my needs the best. So then I'm trying out Perplexity, I'm trying out OpenAI, I'm trying out Claude, I'm trying out all these different ones and getting different results. And so knowing which one fits your needs for what specific task.
Yes. Yes. Absolutely. And that's where the perseverance, that patience comes into play too. Because I know for me early on, it was like, I want to try all of these different things, but then it was leading to burnout and overwhelm, and then I would kind of abandon, right? And then I would get back into it again. So if you found yourself in that situation, just know that's also kind of expected, right?
I would echo that. Mine would have been perseverance because it is, you can go down a rabbit hole, you can get overwhelmed, but it's also this, it's okay to keep retraining my brain and retraining my brain. And there's no perfect tool because they keep changing. And I have to view that as learning versus frustration. Like, man, I spent all this time learning something and now in like 5 seconds, they've improved the tool. So it's that perseverance of constant iteration that I am constantly trying to myself be like, this is good. This is positive. Iteration is a good thing.
Yes, yes, right. It's those reframes that really help, and that mindset matters so much. And I know I'm feeling really validated hearing Alicia, because Alicia, you said you're an AI consultant. It's feeling validating hearing you talk about that too. So I hope all of you are feeling validated as well, that we're kind of all in this together, figuring it out.
100%. Everything you're saying, I'm like, oh, I echo that. I echo that. So we're all in this learning curve together, which is really fun.
Yeah, it is. It is. Yes, it can be fun, and this is where we want to have some fun is in the tinkering. So, I heard this quote at a Women's History Month breakfast for Focus St. Louis. I think it was Dr. Erin Joy who said it. It was a fantastic panel, and I had never heard this before, but she quoted Amelia Earhart saying the most effective way to do it is to do it. And this is now something I live by. I started my business last year, so this is just great for me. Taking risks, I'm just doing it. I'm doing it scared, and this totally relates to AI. Learning AI for me has been experimenting with it. Again, you can listen to me talk about it. You can listen to podcasts. You can go through the certifications, and hopefully they give you the opportunity to play around a little bit. But again, that can be really overwhelming, and it won't stick as much, and you won't have those opportunities for those fails and those wins and ultimately getting to those efficiencies until you are in the driver's seat and in control here. But that again can take time. It can be inefficient. And I mentioned earlier, there's lots of organizations that are making really big bets and extremely unpopular bets of laying off their workforce in anticipation of the efficiencies that AI will provide. So don't expect major gains right out of the gate. Know that it's going to take some time. And David, when you were talking about, which maybe you'll stick with Claude and you'll have two tools, think about how that might cascade with others that you might be collaborating with, people on your team. Because if we're all over the place, experimenting with things, cascading that to others might also feel chaotic. So just how difficult that transformation can be within the workplace is only going to affect how efficient or inefficient the usage is actually going to be. So if it's feeling inefficient for you, again, that's okay. That's part of the process and why we want to lean on those human skills. So we've mentioned some of the tools already. I was going to ask what tools you're using today. I put some of the ones that I'm using, which is I think a pretty short list compared to how many tools exist and are being created every single day. The ones that I've listed on the left are the ones that are, I just put in kind of the generative AI category, right? You can use it to generate text, images, now, maybe PowerPoint presentations, slide decks, Excels, all sorts of things. Claude is made by Anthropic. ChatGPT is OpenAI. Gemini is from Google. Perplexity is just Perplexity, as far as I know. And Copilot is Microsoft. So those are some of the more common ones. So if you've heard the name of the tool or the parent company, putting those side by side so you see them all in front of you. Some other tools I've been using are Notion. Um, this is probably not the way Notion wants to be described, but it's like a really fancy and better OneNote. Microsoft OneNote. Plod is one I've started to use, and that's a transcription service. Otter AI, I think many of you might even have that running during this meeting, which is really cool. Notebook LM is also a Google tool. I actually want to show that one in a moment. And Zoom using AI meeting summary. So I'm just scratching the surface, people. But what other tools am I missing from this list that you are using more often than not?
I mean, I mentioned at the beginning, but I'm going to learn Obsidian, how it integrates with Claude.
Can you pop that in the chat so we know how to spell it?
Yeah. Yep, I will. I
Cool.
put it in the
Oh, you did?
in the read AI. Hey, I didn't realize it was there. Let me put it in the everyone
Cool.
because
Thank
I
you.
have it. Also for Claude, I use the desktop link. That's what I use.
Like the
I
desktop
don't.
app.
Yeah, I don't
Yeah.
use the web browser.
Yep. Right. And that's another thing. People are like, I didn't know there was a desktop app.
Yep,
I had
I
no
use
clue.
the app.
I don't know how to pronounce this, but I was told something about GROK.
Rock.
Oh,
Grok.
Grok.
Grok. Grok.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's Elon Musk.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't know. I haven't tried it out, but I always take notes about different things I've heard, and there's one that's like PO.
Oh,
Hmm.
Yeah, I
I
don't
don't know.
know.
I'm not
I don't know
familiar
about
with
any
that
of this
one.
stuff. I just take notes because I'm like, I want to explore it whenever I have time.
Yeah.
So,
I just heard of a new one actually Tuesday, and it was called HATS, HATZ. So it's for organizations where they want to adopt AI and they have certain employees who want to use Claude and certain employees who like ChatGPT and certain employees who like Gemini. But basically, HATS brings it all under one protected kind of ring fenced system. So you can use HATS to allow your employees to choose which AI they want, but you can also trust that your enterprise level data is secure. And I've not looked into this at all. I literally just heard about it on Tuesday and I was like, that's pretty cool because I know I'm an entrepreneur in a small business organization. I work with a lot of small businesses who sort of like, my employees use it. We don't have a specific one we give our employees. So that's the newest one, but I've not researched that.
That sounds like a game changer.
I thought so too. When I heard it, I'm like, mark it down,
Yeah,
underline it. I'm
I'll
going to
have to
research
look into that.
hats.
Yeah, well, because I'm talking to a lot of my clients, their organizations are using Copilot, and Copilot is not everyone's favorite tool.
That's what I marked because I also work in Copilot. I'm like, I still love other tools better in some cases. Copilot's like they've just launched a new generation though. So like you said, Copilot Cowork's coming out. Hopefully it'll
Yeah.
be better.
Yeah, I saw that. And I had used it at my prayer company, and I know, yeah, it's that HATZ, that's the name of the.
Yes. So
Okay.
that's
Thank
all I
you,
know.
Alicia.
That's
Cool.
a new one.
Great, great. Yeah, so see y'all, there's so many new things coming out that are hopefully solving for the needs that we discover the more we adopt. So fantastic. Let me see what's in the chat here. Let's see. You put Obsidian. Thank you. I would not have spelled it that way, David. So thank you for typing that out for us. Calendly, Fathom for podcasting, Suno for creating music, predictive assessments, predictive programs. Cool. This is great. This is great. Yeah, there's lots of tools. Again, this is where the overwhelm can happen. If it's feeling overwhelming, just pick one. Just pick one and start playing around with it. And find someone else who's using that tool. And then you can do some side by side. Jen, were you about to pop in?
I saw Susan had put something in the chat. I wasn't really familiar with that one either.
Yeah,
Bloom
I'm not
5.
either.
Yeah.
Lumen 5. Cool. For video
That's very
creation.
cool. You can pick a template on the free version, or you can pay and put your own, branded colors in and whatever. But you just give it a script and kind of prompt it, tell it what you want, how long you want it to be, and it'll put together a video for you. It'll choose photos or it'll choose moving pictures. There's one on my website.
Very cool.
Yeah, it's very cool.
Right.
Another one is GenSpark. If you're doing videos, I have not used it. I just found out about that Tuesday as well. And GenSpark is supposedly phenomenal with videos and creation of that. So sorry, I'm in my car, so it's harder for me to chat. So GenSpark, GenSpark.
Cool. GenSpark. Awesome. Thank you.
I
Thank you
know
all.
Grit just launched a podcast production company. I hired the guy on the radio show, and he uses all this software. It's incredible. He can literally record your voice, and he can, if you want to give it content that it wants to create, you can have a whole hour's worth of content in 5 minutes of recording your voice. It's insane.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. Yeah. And this is also for me, it's the question of how much of myself am I willing to give over? It's the cost benefit. And I think, many of us, if not all of us who are experimenting with these tools are asking ourselves those questions, these are the right questions to ask, right? So let's do a use case here. Again, for some of you, this may be you've already figured this out and that's totally fine. But because we have a variety of adoption kind of present here, um, we're all probably on LinkedIn. Maybe we don't want to be, but we're all on LinkedIn, posting on LinkedIn, interacting with other people. And it can be time intensive to come up with content, to write posts, make sure it's in your voice. And so the first use case I wanted to show is how you can use Claude to write a LinkedIn post using your own authentic voice. And I'm learning more and more about Claude projects every day. So let's look at this. So if we were to go to Claude, which I'm using the desktop app, so David mentioned he doesn't use the browser. I stopped using the browser as soon as they came up with Cowork. So this is what Claude looks like. Chat, you can do Cowork. I've not ventured into code, but chat, Cowork, code. On here, we're going to start from scratch here. So they have chats, they have projects, artifacts, customize. We're going to stick with projects for this. You go into projects, I've got a lot here. Start a new project. We're just going to call this one test. This is kind of the structure of it. You can give it instructions. You can upload files to it. So in this case, if we're talking about LinkedIn, maybe you want to add different writing samples that you have. You can share your own. If you've got like a business overview, any kind of writing you want to put into this that you don't want to have to copy and paste into one document, you can just upload that here. One thing that I have done, and I want to show you here to, again, just try to make this easy for yourself, is ask it to create context for you. So you want to give it context before you start writing. So I might ask it, give me a Word document template I can use to add all the context I need to about me, my work, etc. So you can reference it in every chat in this project. So one thing I've learned about projects versus chats, don't know if this is true in other tools, but this is true in Claude, is that if you have multiple projects, they don't source from each other. So think about them as silos. They don't talk to each other. And so creating one project, let's say you want to create a command center for yourself or your business, keeping it all in one project is going to allow it to source from all the chats that you have in there, as well as any of the files or context you give it, versus starting each chat and having to say, don't be preachy, be succinct, I use bullet points, that kind of thing. So let's ask it to create a context template for us and see what it does. It might take a little bit. So it's going to give you a sense of how it's going about doing this. I'm going to actually go to, did I have it at this command center here, this test project? Yeah. So what it did here was actually created a context document for us. It's going to look like this, which is kind of yucky, but that's how it looks. It's a Word document that it's uploaded. Let's go back to this to see if it's already generated it. Oh, I lost my project. Hold on. Sorry. Recents. I didn't pin it. That's why. No, completely lost my project. Well, that's okay. We're going to keep going. So the context document itself will have things like your bio, your personality, your voice. You can copy and paste LinkedIn post into it. The idea is to ask it to source from that context with every chat that you have going here. Okay. So what you would do next is, did I do it for this one? Yeah. Okay. So I already asked it, I had it copy and paste this slide that has those 6 skills that propel AI adoption. I'd like to write a LinkedIn post about the 6 skills for AI adoption. Don't write the post for me. This is another thing that's highly debatable about tools. Don't write the post for me, but do give me 3 angles I can use for the post. So again, if you're more hesitant, you don't want to start like writing things in your own voice, you want to just get some ideas as a thought partner, you can go this route. So it's giving me 3 angles to consider. I could take that, start writing my post in whatever tool you use to capture those things, put it into LinkedIn, and you're done. So that's one option. I want to see if this actually produced it. Let's see if it'll give me a preview. Usually it gives me a little preview. I don't know. Can you guys see Word on my computer? I don't know if I'm sharing that. No? Okay.
No.
Let me go to share my whole screen. Just want to show you what happened with that Word doc. Okay.
While you're pulling that up, can I ask a question on storage in general? Do
Yeah.
you normally save these documents specifically into like Word or Notebook or whatever, basically because Chat and Gemini and even Claude aren't necessarily known for their storage. And it's still, to me, this question I don't think has been answered. So if you can answer it, great. How do you quickly store all this wonderful content in a place that you can retrieve it, not, a year from now, 5 years from now? I'd love your thoughts on that.
Yeah, thank you. I still have not found a very sophisticated way to do that. So I'm
Okay.
storing things on OneDrive because that's what I've been conditioned to do over my career. I don't like Google Drive, but Google Drive, as I understand it, plays a lot better in connecting to these tools. So I'm willing to continue to use my Dinosaur OneDrive storage system, and then basically what I do is I go in and I update, by the way, I called Claude Claudia. So I update my Claudia context document every so often when there's new information to share. So it just fits in a folder I created called like AI. Not super sophisticated. Does that answer your question,
No,
Lisa?
100%. I'm looking for the silver bullet. I haven't found it yet of how to
So
do it, but you're right.
I
Google
have
Drive's
heard
getting there,
about,
but go ahead.
oh, sorry, Alicia. I have read about, but haven't gotten here yet. And it's like
Yeah.
my next frontier. I love Claude and I've done a lot with it, but I'm at a plateau and I need to go to the next level. Kind of need to go to where David is. But I think maybe even skip a level beyond that is you can give Claude, or I have read that you can give Claude access to certain folders on your
Hmm.
computer drive.
Yes.
And Claude does the work right in there instead of you having to upload it
Yes.
to him or her, Claudia. It'll just go, choop.
Yep.
I've got
Yes.
to get over some fear of giving it access to my drive, but that would be ideal, I think. It sounds like.
Yes. Yes. And I believe you can do that with Google Drive. I haven't tried that yet with OneDrive. So it's probably possible with some other maybe background connector, like if you've heard of Zapier.
I was going to say I would use Zapier for that,
Yeah.
but I was hoping to not have the background connector someday. And that's why I'm starting to use Copilot more because I'm like, okay, I
Yeah.
better figure out this suite of products because it already exists within Word. I should be able to leverage this ecosystem better than I am today.
Yeah.
But yeah, thank you. That
Yeah.
was helpful.
I hear you. I hear you. So this is actually it's a very pretty Word document. You can start adding this, and whether you have your own business or an entrepreneur or not, you can still upload a context document. So just as a refresher of what we did there, we asked Claude to create a context document for us, right? So you can probably find this if you Google it. But why not just ask it while you're there? So it created this context document. You could also go in and fill this out. But if you've been using any kind of AI tool enough, you could upload this back to the chat and say, can you fill this out for me based on the chats that we've had? Again, don't do this in a new project because it has absolutely no idea because it's a silo. Nothing there, right? Just start a new chat in Gemini, whatever, and you can ask it to fill this out for you. So that's what I did. I said, we've had lots of conversations here, fill this out. And then I used that as a draft and I went in and I changed things. And then I said, that's the one that I want to upload here. And that's what I use now now I'm comfortable letting it draft LinkedIn posts for me. That's not really a best practice. It's probably a no-no for other people. But I'm letting it draft a post. I still edit everything as I'm a writer. So I'm going to edit it. And I would invite you to do that too and not just copy and paste it in because I think you've seen the AI slop that shows up, particularly on LinkedIn. So I'm going to be conscious of time here. I want to show you just a couple other use cases. I'm not going to go through all of the details here, but this is a tool. I don't know that it gets a lot of credit, and that's Notebook LM. It's a Google tool, and the difference between this and using the other tools we talked about, like Claude, Gemini, ChatGPT, is it only sources from the content you give it. So it's not sourcing from that LLM, all the content out there on the LLM. It is only sourcing from what you provide it, which I think is nice because it can make things less noisy. And it's helpful when you're trying to maybe digest or interact with one or two different things. So I've done this for like reports. So let's see, this one's 2026 State of People Strategy Report from Lattice, which is an HR tech company. So I loaded this in here. I can interact with this and it might give me some questions. It usually gives you some question prompts if you want to interact with it, just like another tool. You can also turn it into an audio overview. I've not tried a slide deck, but it gives you these different learning outputs for you to interact with it. So if you're like me and maybe your attention span is waning and you want to, go through this report, have some fresh data to arm yourself for the next board meeting, turn it into an AI overview and you can listen to it in the car while you're folding laundry. And it's kind of weird. It's like a podcast format. So I don't know if this will play here. We'll see.
Imagine telling a CEO that to get their team to hit peak performance this year, they actually need to, stop talking about performance altogether.
Right. They'll probably laugh you out of the room.
Oh, absolutely.
Okay. So that's a snippet. I don't know if y'all were able to hear that. It's a two-person podcast format. So it's one way to digest the information, but I like using Notebook LM for that. I've also encouraged my clients to use it for understanding assessment results. So if you like for Colby, that's the assessment that I offer. We can put all the reports for the team in one thing, and then they can use that and prompt it and have it as an ongoing tool, or even use it as a coach.
Talking about focus, my brain just was curious about Meta AI.
Meta AI.
Use that like within Instagram or Facebook or any of that.
Yeah, I have not. I have not used Meta AI.
I'm not either.
Yeah, I don't know if anybody else has. So since we're kind of getting to the end here, I just want to remind you all, we were not meant to do any of this life alone, and that includes understanding AI. Okay. So find a friend, create your own group, join an existing group. I'm not saying that these meetups and, sharing side by side learning is going to be the antidote to loneliness that we're all feeling. And it can be a really fun way to learn more about these tools. So I am curious as we check in here to the other side of our session. The goal was to make this feel more approachable. I really wanted to make this not feel overwhelming. If you're feeling overwhelmed, though, I get it. There's a lot. But how are you feeling on this side of our session?
Scared.
You guys got a thumbs up. Thumbs up, Alicia, thumbs
Thumbs
up.
up.
Thumbs up. Cool. Good deal. We're all still in good spirits. Great. I'd like to encourage you, what's one teeny tiny thing you can do today? Start doing today as it relates to what we've discussed here.
Mine is like, sorry, Jennifer.
I would just say get curious because there's a lot to learn.
Yeah, and that was kind of what mine was, only just being very careful about what I use and making sure that I'm using the correct tool for the job.
Yeah.
I have two. One is Notebook LM. You're the fourth person in like the last 2 weeks who said Notebook LM is amazing. So that was literally on my to-do list for this week, is like, watch your first Notebook LM YouTube video. But like you said, Mary Pat, and I just want to echo, when you can sit with somebody who, even for 30 minutes, or like share screens and just kind of share ideas, that's how I learn best too. It's like, cool, you can show me this on a screen, but if you sit next to me, and like, that's kind of how I think you probably work with your clients the same I do. I'm like, we're going to learn together. We're literally going to sit at the computers and learn together, but we're going to make space for this learning to happen. And we're going to make it very open and approachable. But the other thing, I was talking about A on the Move. For me, a big difference maker was not just on my phone, but if you do two-way voice, you only get so much data and compute. And so it like shortens its answers. But I found out you can actually put your phone into speak mode, like almost from like the auto, if you have audio issues. And so if I'm driving in the car and I'm using Chat or Gemini and it gives me this super like 7-paragraph long response, I like just put it on speak mode and it's very robotic, but then it'll speak to me and I'm not like trying to text and drive or read and drive, which is bad. And I'm not driving now, by the way. I am in a parking lot, but yes, for me, that it's kind of helpful to keep it moving with me.
That's great. That's great. Yes, and that was another thing I was going to show you is how you can use the voice mode on Claude. So there's different ways of interacting with the tools as well, not just typing with it. So that's great, Alicia. Thank you. Thank you. Awesome. Um, I realize we're not even looking at my slides. Okay, so final thing here. If you would like to continue with this like screen sharing, let's tinker away, let's maybe create your first Claude project, I'm happy to do that with you. I'm offering complimentary 30-minute AI experimentation calls. Um, I enjoy doing this. So if this is something you want to take me up on, scan the QR code, find me on LinkedIn, let's have a chat. The other thing is, and sorry about the profanity there, but I was trying to fill this need for myself. Having my own business has been a lonely experience, and that was a surprise to me. So I'm always looking for collaborators and thought partners, and I started to get people together in person just to shoot the shit about AI. So we bring our laptops and our phones, we look at what each other are doing. We're actually doing one tonight. I know there will be more in the future. Rosalita's Cantina, De Pere, 4 o'clock. There will be chips and salsa.
That's
Thank you
awesome.
so much.
Thank you. It's really good.
Does anybody have any questions before we wrap up?
This has been great. So I
Super
just want to
helpful.
thank you.
And if you want to watch this again, it's going to be recorded. I'm going to put it on the Great YouTube page.
Thank you for
Awesome.
organizing it, Jennifer. It was fantastic. Thank you, Mary
Absolutely. And
Pat.
that's what Grit's
Yeah.
for, to alleviate
Great
the loneliness
content.
and spark ideas. So
Right? Exactly. Thank you all for joining. I appreciate it.
Have a great day.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.